Hey, hope everybody is doing well today. We're at. Hope you're staying cool or cooler. Very hot, and I hope you're staying warm. If it's cold, I hope you have a balance of temperature. And I'm speaking metaphor. I'm using the temperature for your mind. Hope you have a balanced mind. Not too hot, not too cold. Too much, not too little. The middle path. No mind, beyond mind. Okay, so let's do the chanting. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, dhammam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami, dudayambi buddham saranam gacchami, dudayambi dhammam saranam gacchami, dudayambi sangham saranam gacchami, tadayambi buddham saranam gacchami. Tadayambi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tadayambi sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, about to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, about to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, about to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, about to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayatam gati gati parasam gati buddhiswa. Tayatam gati parasam gati buddhiswa. Tayatam gati parasam gati buddhiswa. Time for some meditation now. And we will initially release the tension in the body. So get yourself comfortable. Try to keep your body still. Will help you keep your mind still. Vice versa. A lot of the time our mind is, like a fish when it's out of water. And just come out. It's fluttering around, you know, on the part of the land or whatever it is that it's now lying on. It's used to being in the water. But our mind is like this. It's a fluttering mind. So now we work to calm the mind, to focus the mind. Bring the mind inside the body and let's release the tension from the bottom of the body all the way up to the top. So releasing the tension from your feet and up to your midsection. Then after you've done that, up to your shoulders. After you've done that, down to the tips of your fingers. After you've done that, to the top of your head. And let's do that now. No instruction apart from that today. So let's take a few moments. And once you've done this, scan your body again. And if there's any leftover tension, release that. And now you can bring your mind initially to the tip of your nose and follow the feeling of the breath as we breathe in our nose, all the way into our lungs, and then back out our nose again. Breathing in, breathing out. That's all you have to do physically, mentally. All you have to do is focus on the feeling of the breath. And if your mind wanders, replace your mind back onto the breath. As we are practicing this meditation, if any thoughts arise or any mental activity whatsoever arises, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it. Don't try to force it away either or deny it. But simply and naturally let it go as you replace the mind back onto the breath. And if your mind becomes dull or sleepy, wake it up a bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. You can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths from 1 up to 10. Don't count past 10 because we want the focus on the breathing to be the focus and not the counting. Counting is there to help you keep focused on the breath. And as you are counting towards 10, then if you get distracted, then go back to 1 at that time. So let's practice like this in silence for a little bit. Excuse me. He's got something poured in my throat. So now refocusing onto the breath as we practice in silence. Hopefully I don't make noises. Hmm. Now we can feel pleased with ourselves and fill ourselves with universal loving kindness, utilizing the visualization technique of filling our whole being with the white light, which represents this universal loving kindness. Fill yourself with so much loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards, initially to our loved ones, family and friends. And so with the visualization, this universal loving kindness in the form of the white light leaves your heart chakra or center and enters into the heart centers of all the beings in front of you and fills them with the white light as well. Have the wish that they are happy, free from suffering, and are peaceful. And I also include those you regard as strangers, which is most of the people, of course. But just pick out a few now. And do likewise. Visualization, the white light, and the wish for happiness and freedom from suffering and for peace. And I also include enemies and do likewise. And now radiate the loving kindness out beyond just human beings and also distance-wise. We'll increase the distance, starting initially around your immediate area, to the living beings that live on the land, even under the land, live in the waters, fly through the air, whether born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation. All sentient beings, whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or to be born. May they all be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now radiate the loving kindness to all beings throughout your whole state or county. And all of the states and counties throughout your country. And all of the countries throughout the world. Those you're familiar with, those you're not familiar with. Those you may have an affinity towards, those you're indifferent towards, and those you may have some negative feelings about. So share this loving kindness out based on equanimity, based on upekkha or upeksha in Sanskrit. And also radiate the loving kindness throughout all of the bodies of water, including the oceans and so on, and down to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. And beyond this planet, throughout the whole solar system. And the galaxy, and the universe and beyond. Have your loving kindness pervade throughout infinite space, whilst also being present here and now, and recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious body, Chitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Okay, so hot. So excuse me when I dab myself with a tissue. And apologize there from before. I took a sip of water and obviously loosened something up in my throat. So that's the first time in Dharma class that I've had to leave the seat. I didn't want to make too much noise, sneezing and coughing and everything. So I had to leave my seat for a moment, but hopefully you were meditating, not disturbed by it. So you didn't see all that happening. So I think my glasses are going to fog up today. That's a funny thing about having to wear glasses at any time, isn't it? I should say. So sometimes if it's too hot, you stick them on and it takes about 10 seconds. Or if you're wearing a face mask, it takes about 5 seconds. So anyway, we spoke last week, or I should remind you, we're having commentary on my article, Meditation and Its Benefits, Getting to Know Your Mind. And we're about halfway through. So last week we spoke about meditation is for the purpose of understanding the true nature of the mind. It reveals the inner psychological world. It penetrates the ordinary superficial perception that obscures the nature of reality. With meditation, you can understand the reality of self and other phenomena. For if you understand your own mind, you will understand everything. Without meditation, we cannot realize the truth, for the mind will remain clouded with disturbing thoughts and emotions, and will become more and more confused and deluded over time. So, the whole purpose of meditation is to lessen the deluded afflictions of our mind and eventually eradicate them from the very roots. So, to unveil the Buddha nature, as I mentioned last week, to realize the empty nature of mind, another way to put it, to realize the fullness of mind and beyond emptiness and beyond fullness. Remember that the Buddha, in its first level, you could say, of his teachings were to help us to give up attachment to self. Ankara, so desire or attachment. And normally attachment to self. And of course, with that comes the dualistic thinking. So there's self of other too, so attachment or aversion from other. And so to help us give up attachment to self. And then, of course, he taught the emptiness teachings for us to give up attachment to self and no self, to go beyond dualistic thinking. So the first level, you could say, this is loosely, not really loosely, actually, just really briefly. First level is teachings of no self, to give up attachment to self. Then the Paramita teachings, to give up the attachment to self and no self, the dualistic way of thinking conceptually. Then the higher level, the highest level, teach Buddha nature, and this is to reveal our true nature so that we can unveil it because it's already there. To use the example that is used often, like digging up from a pile of dirt, digging up a diamond, a precious diamond. But of course, this is just an example. The nature, true nature of the mind, the Buddha nature, of course, it's way beyond the preciousness of a diamond, infinite, beyond limit, beyond words, beyond, like we say, inexpressible, wisdom gone beyond. Can't talk about it, can't think about it, can't conceptualize it. So how to do that? And I think most of you know this teaching, which I put into this article, something I wrote many years ago. Just as, in fact, I'll try to put my glasses on now. Hopefully they don't fog up. Just as a professional tree cutter would carefully cut back the branches of a tree before being able to dig out the roots and eventually get rid of even the tiniest bits of the roots, so that the tree has absolutely no chance of growing again. We must chip away at our delusions and mental afflictions, so that we can get to and uproot their root cause and totally eradicate even the propensity for them to arise again. So to totally, they have gone all foggy, to totally dig up even the tiniest bits of roots. So in other words, to uproot totally ignorance, to reveal the Buddha nature, to develop, eventually realize the supreme wisdom and marry it, you could say, with the bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta, realize the ultimate bodhicitta of enlightenment. But to use the example of this tree, we have, let's say, for instance, for whatever reason, we don't want to cut down trees, by the way. We need more trees in the world. But let's say you've got, excuse the noise around here, it's a long weekend this weekend. And unfortunately, clowns come like a circus on the island when it's weekends like this. Lots of clowns, excuse my humor. So anyway, some car going past, beeping, beeping, beeping. Anyway, the tree. So let's say in our yard, we had to get rid of the tree because it's diseased and could eventually become rotten and fall over, hit the house, hit people, whatever. Mum and I had actually had to get a tree probably about 4 years ago. In fact, 2 trees removed because they were diseased. Very big pity because they're very nice trees, very big trees. And not only because of the trees and because the purifying, making oxygen, but also because it was like a privacy thing too. People from other places couldn't see into the backyard and so on. So I digress. We had to get rid of these trees. We had to get the professional guys to do it because the saw that I have, the electric one, rechargeable one, is really small. Most of the time, if I have to do something that's a bit larger, I actually have to do it manually. So using a sort of manual saw. Too hard to do. So we had to get the professionals to do it. And of course, they know exactly what they're doing. They have all of the equipment as well, and including chainsaws and whatever. I'm not saying that they got down right into the ground and got rid of the tiniest bits of the roots. And so the trees may grow back in 100 years or something. But anyway, let's say they did. Okay. I watched them for a little bit. Okay. And just to see what they were up to. And then they started at the top, started chopping down just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. And on the outside, of course. And so eventually they got down to the tree or the stem, and then the tree, the trunk. And eventually they sort of dug up the trunk. They used some sort of equipment to turn it into like mulch or something or other, So then they took it away, or took them away. So this is how we have to practice the Dharma. We have to know what it is that we need to adopt, as was spoken or is spoken about many times before, has been spoken, and then adopt it. And we have to know what to eradicate and eradicate it. We have to develop this bodhicitta, this great compassion, by developing, realizing the paramitas, generosity, morality, patience, effort, concentration. We have to develop these good qualities. And of course, wisdom leads to the wisdom. And then we also, as we do this, and as we're practicing these paramitas to develop them, we are diminishing and getting rid of the mental afflictions. For instance, if you are practicing simply a great effort, 4 great efforts, then every time unwholesome thoughts arise, you get rid of them. You protect your mind from not having unwholesome thoughts arise. If you have wholesome thoughts, you keep them. And if you don't have wholesome thoughts already, then you adopt them. This obviously is increasing the habit of the mind being wholesome, decreasing the habit of the mind being unwholesome. And as we do this, it becomes habit to do so. Eventually the faults start to be relinquished, the gross aspects, eventually down to the subtle aspects. until we totally uproot them. And at the same time, we are developing these good qualities. I'm just using the parameters as the example today. So we must chop this tree down, the tree of afflictions. We must get rid of, like I said, the gross aspects of these negative qualities, of these mental afflictions, to get down to the subtle aspects. So you could say that the big branches of the tree and all the leaves and everything are the gross aspects, very easy to perceive, actually very hard to perceive for most people because they don't pay attention. All we have to do is just pay attention and they're easy to see, easy to perceive. But of course, as we get down to the inner parts of the tree and everything, we can't perceive it straight away, can we? Can't see it from outside. So we have to cut down like that. Eventually, when we do that, we can get, just like with the mental afflictions, purifying, getting rid of or eradicating the gross aspects and getting down to the subtle aspects, just like we get down to the trunk of the tree and the roots and so on. Until then, we can actually uproot them. We can decrease the attachment and aversions, and then get down to the core, which is the ignorance, and uproot this by developing these parameters, by developing and accumulating the merits, the bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta, realizing the supreme wisdom. And that is uprooting these roots and making sure there's no tiny little bits so they don't come back. Okay, that's realizing the Buddha nature, to use that example. We're doing very well with time today. So let me just have a little look at that line again, or that paragraph. Just as a professional tree cutter would carefully cut back the branches of a tree before being able to dig out the roots and eventually get rid of even the tiniest bits of roots, so that the tree has absolutely no chance of growing again. We must chip away at our delusions and mental afflictions so that we can get rid or get to and uproot their root cause, which, like I said, is ignorance, and totally eradicate even the propensity for them to arise again. Now, this example, you could say parable or metaphor or whatever, teaching, should be easy to understand on face value. The deeper you go into it, I'm trying to introduce to you the Buddha nature teachings. So when we talk about this or having commentary on this article, right back in the beginning, I said to you that there are many layers of teachings. If you just read it and think, oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, meditation calms the mind, clears the mind, all of these things. You get to know your mind, yes, right? No problem, the mind, the relative mind, okay? Get to know the mental afflictions that need to be eradicated, get to know the good qualities that need to be perfected. Yes, but also on a deeper level. Deeper level, you get to work your way to perfecting the parameters, to develop in this door to the Dharma, the generosity. Generosity is the direct antidote for attachment and greed and so on. And therefore it opens the door to the Dharma. It helps us to develop the conditions to be moral, the second paramita. With morality, nothing to feel bad about, nothing to regret or to have remorse. With nothing to feel bad about or regret, then the mind can be very strong, called patience, even if we're experiencing difficulties, even if we don't understand everything. We patiently endure any difficulties or lack of understanding. When the mind is strong like this, we're able to make great effort with enthusiasm, natural enthusiasm. When we are able to make this great enthusiastic effort, we can develop the mind of concentration. With, first of all, less disturbances mentally, eventually working our way to no disturbance. When we concentrate, we're concentrating. We don't always have to go back to the object because we have realized samadhi, one-pointed concentration. When we have realized this state, then we can utilize this one-pointed concentration to investigate and analyze your mind and all phenomena, the self, the other, and go beyond it, penetrate beyond it. So you can utilize this mind to investigate. Investigation relates to the gross aspects of a certain phenomenon, let's say the mind, even though that's the most difficult phenomena to understand, obviously, even the relative mind. So you can investigate the mind, and just like the gross aspects of the tree, as mentioned, you get to perceive them. All you have to do is focus on them, clear your mind a bit, focus on that, like that. You can utilize penetrative insight meditation to be able to investigate your mind, to work your way to understanding its true nature. Then, once you have gone quite deep, you can analyze this and get to know the more subtle aspects. So investigation is working to understand the gross aspects of something, and then analyzing to understand the more subtle aspects of something. Okay, so then you can get into your mind very deeply and eventually penetrate beyond conceptual thinking. So by practicing these first 5 parameters, we develop the conditions, accumulate the conditions that we need to realize the supreme wisdom. We realize the supreme wisdom by putting into practice the 3 wisdom tools of the wisdom of hearing, the wisdom of contemplation, utilizing the investigation and analysis, and also the wisdom of meditation or mental absorption. And then, of course, to use sort of a slang word in this sense, you marry this bodhicitta, or great compassion that you have developed, accumulated by practicing these first 5 of the 6 parameters with the 6th paramita, the supreme wisdom, and realize the ultimate bodhicitta. So contemplate this teaching today. You can contemplate the example of the cutting of the tree down, uprooting its roots, unveiling its Buddha nature. The trees have Buddha nature, I don't know. So, and make sure you do that, investigate it, analyze it, this teaching. I came up with that concept. I don't know actually whether it's comes from me reading something or listening to a teaching or coming up with the example myself, based on Buddhist teachings, based on Dharma talks that I may have attended. But I like to keep it because I think it's a good example. Also utilizing nature. The Buddha utilized nature a lot to give examples, especially trees. So how are we doing? We've got like 2 minutes to go. So I think that'll do for today. And next week, we'll have a look at this. Meditation makes the mind sharper, stronger, and clearer, enabling us to solve our own problems more skillfully, as well as being able to call on the power of our mind to make profound changes in life, we will become healthier and happier. For it has been proven that there is a strong relationship between meditation and physical and psychological well-being. It is only through engaging in the practice of meditation that we can transform our limited powers of concentration into extraordinary, unlimited powers of concentration. So a minute to go. I rejoice in your goodness always. I hope you have a lovely day ahead. And for those who the day is almost over for, have a lovely evening and night ahead. Like I said, stay cool if you're hot. I'm not staying cool right now. And I can't really have the fan going in the room because it goes, it flickers with the light. I tried it once before. So I rejoice in your goodness and keep practicing well and sharing the Dharma through your vibes and whatever it is that you understand, you can share with others. Do so with positive intentions. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, and I'll see you next week. I look forward to that. Look after your mind, of utmost importance, that is.